Live from New Delhi, you're watching the India Newshour, India's voice to the world with me, Deepika, coming up in the next 1 hour. US President Donald Trump issues last warning to Hamas to accept hostage deal or face consequences. Hamas says discussing ideas received from the US. Trump indicates readiness to impose new sanctions on Moscow hours after Russian drones hit Kyiv. European leaders to visit US to discuss Russia-Ukraine conflict. Detained workers to fly back after South Korea reaches deal with the US to release the citizens. White House border czar vows more raids on businesses. In sports, Indian men's hockey team beats defending champion South Korea to win the Asia Cup title. With this, India earns direct qualification for Hockey World Cup 2026. And in tennis, Carlos Alcaraz claimed second US Open title as he defeats arch rival Yannick Sinner to add another feather to his hat. A very good morning to all the viewers joining us at this morning broadcast. To begin with the US. US President Donald Trump on Sunday issued a last warning to Hamas to accept a deal to release hostages from Gaza. Trump, in a social media post, warned Hamas to accept the Gaza truce and the hostage deal or face the consequences. Now, the post comes after Steve Witkoff, Trump's envoy to the Middle East, sent a new proposal last week to Hamas for a hostage and ceasefire deal through an Israeli peace activist. Trump also said that US is going to have a deal on Gaza very soon as he traveled back to Washington from New York. He added that he thought all the hostages would be returned dead or alive.
No, but you'll be hearing about it pretty soon. We're trying to get it ended, get the hostages back, get it ended. We got them all back, but 20. And as you know, we have 20, plus there are a lot of, unfortunately, dead bodies involved. And they want them back. The parents want them back. So we had some very good discussions. Good things could happen.
Now, under the deal, Hamas would free all the remaining 48 hostages on the first day of the truce in exchange of thousands of Palestinian prisoners jailed in Israel and negotiate an end to the conflict. Trump's comments came as the Israeli military began flattening high-rise buildings in Gaza City, marking the first major phase in its new offensive to occupy the city. The operation, backed by Trump, is expected to escalate in the coming days. Hamas said it was ready to immediately sit at the negotiating table and that it received some ideas from the United States side to reach a ceasefire deal in Gaza. Hamas also reiterated its readiness for negotiations to release all hostages in exchange for a clear announcement of an end to the conflict and the complete withdrawal of Israeli forces from the enclave. And now let's get your latest on Russia-Ukraine conflict. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Sunday said Kyiv expects a strong response from its international partners, particularly the United States, in the wake of latest Russian mass strike on government building in the capital. In his evening address, Zelensky said that he was counting on a strong US response to the latest massive Russian barrage on Kyiv, which is its largest ever. The strike damaged the Cabinet of Ministers building in central Kyiv, marking the first time the government building have been hit since the conflict began back in the year 2022.
It is clear that Russia is trying to hurt Ukraine, and the attacks are becoming more brazen. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine is informing all partners about the latest Russian escalation. We are counting on a strong response from America. This is what is needed.
US envoy to Ukraine Keith Kellogg said the Russian attack looks like an escalation in the conflict. The US envoy in a social media post said the attack was not a signal that Russia wants to diplomatically end this conflict. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump said on Monday that he is ready to move to a second stage of sanctioning Russia over the conflict in Ukraine. He also told the reporters that individual European leaders would visit the United States on Monday or Tuesday to discuss how to resolve the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Trump also said he would speak to Russian President Vladimir Putin soon. South Korea has secured the release of approximately 300 nationals who were detained during a massive US immigration raid at a Hyundai motor battery plant in Georgia last week. The operation, which is the largest single-site enforcement by the Department of Homeland Security, had arrested about 475 workers, mostly South Koreans, for alleged unlawful employment. A chartered plane is set to repatriate them by Wednesday. The $4.3 billion Hyundai LG project remains a key economic venture. While LG Energy Solution, with 47 detained employees, has suspended business trips to the US, South Korea, having pledged $350 billion in US investments, aims to reform the visa systems to prevent future incidents amid strained relations as US President Donald Trump vows more workplace raids. President Donald Trump warned the foreign companies to obey US law after the South Korean workers were arrested at the Hyundai LG battery plant. Trump said he would look at what happened following the raid and also said that it had not harmed his relationship with South Korea. Trump has called on all foreign companies investing in the United States to respect United Nations immigration laws.
So I'm going to look at that. It's a very interesting situation that took place in Georgia. And we heard about it yesterday. At the same time, ICE was doing right because they were here illegally. But we do have to work something out where we bring in experts so that our people can be trained so that they can do it themselves.
Latest from Japan. The race to replace Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba has kicked off with Liberal Democratic Party heavyweight Toshimitsu Motegi on Monday becoming the first to announce his candidacy. Now, talking to the reporters on Monday, the former Japanese foreign minister said that he has decided to run in the LDP presidential election. The other frontrunners include LDP veteran Sane Takeichi and Shinjiro Koizumi, a political scion and son of former Prime Minister Junichiro Koizumi, who gained prominence as Ishiba's farm minister tasked with trying to rein in soaring rice prices. However, neither has formally announced their candidacy, but they finished second and third, respectively, in the last leadership contest in September 2024. Japan's Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba resigned after less than a year in power, during which he lost his majority in both the houses of the parliament. The lower house elections in October 2024 saw the Liberal Democratic Party suffer its worst result in 15 years. Now taking responsibility for the defeat, Ishiba stepped down to avoid a split within the ruling LDP. The hunt for LDP's successor and Japan's next Prime Minister now begins.
Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba resigned on Sunday, ushering in a potentially lengthy period of policy paralysis at a shaky moment for the world's fourth largest economy. Ishiba asked his Liberal Democratic Party, which has governed Japan for almost all of the post-war era, to hold an emergency leadership race, adding he would continue his duties until his successor was elected.
I have decided to resign as the Liberal Democratic Party president. Now that negotiations concerning the US tariff measures have reached a turning point, I thought this was the appropriate time to step aside and make way for the next Prime Minister.
Since coming to power less than a year ago, Ishiba has overseen his ruling coalition lose its majorities in elections for both houses of parliament amid voter anger over rising living costs. Reacting on Ishiba's resignation, some Tokyo residents expressed shock, while some said this would bring political uncertainty. With all the turmoil around tariffs right now, I hope the next Prime Minister will be someone who can properly manage the tariff issues and handle diplomacy more effectively.
Personally, I don't really have anything against Ishiba, and I don't think the issue this time is really his fault. It's more that we, the people, are saying no to the Liberal Democratic Party. So I really feel that it is wrong for Ishiba to take responsibility for that.
Things will be the same no matter who becomes Prime Minister. I think it'll be interesting if they try and elect someone from a different party.
With Shigeru Ishiba's resignation, attention turns to who will next steer the world's fourth largest economy. The process to pick Japan's next leader is more complicated than before, as Ishiba's Liberal Democratic Party and its junior coalition partner lost their majorities in both houses of parliament during his tenure. Since the LDP does not have a majority in either house, it is not guaranteed that the next LDP president will become prime minister. Whoever becomes the next leader may choose to call a snap election to seek the national mandate. There is a slim possibility that an opposition party leader takes the helm as Japan's opposition remains fractured. But the far-right anti-immigration Sansieto party made big gains in July's upper house election, bringing the once fringe ideas into the political mainstream, a trend increasingly also being seen in Europe. Tanvi Taneja for DD India.
Meanwhile, Japanese currency yen fell as the investors girded for uncertainty in the country following the resignation of Prime Minister Ishiba. Yields on super long Japanese government bonds have already been hovering near record highs, while Japan's Nikkei share gauge has recently slipped from last month's all-time peak. Experts say the markets are going to be framing this around what it means for fiscal policy, inflation and the BOJ, which is Bank of Japan's response. The yen fell across the board and was last 0.6% lower, while the Nikkei surged 1.8%, just shy of its recent high record. Moving on, Brazil celebrated its Independence Day on Sunday with a civic military parade in Brasilia led by President Lula da Silva. But the festive mood was faded by raising trade tensions with the US after President Donald Trump slapped a 50% tariff on Brazilian exports. The parade themed Sovereign Brazil unfolded as Trump defended the tariffs, calling them retaliation against his ally. Ex-President Jair Bolsonaro currently on trial over an alleged coup attempt. While Brazil honored its freedom, global politics loomed large over the celebration. Thousands of supporters of former far-right Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro staged protests across several cities on Sunday, days ahead of the conclusion of his trial for allegedly plotting a coup after losing the 2022 presidential election. Demonstrators in Sao Paulo waved Brazilian and US flags in support of US President Donald Trump, who called the legal actions against Bolsonaro a witch hunt. Despite the support, Trump has also imposed tariffs on Brazilian goods and sanctioned the judges involved in Bolsonaro's trial. Similar protests were also held in Brasilia and Rio de Janeiro. Brazil's Supreme Court is now expected to rule by the 12th of September, while Bolsonaro have already been barred from running for office until the year 2030. Guyana's Irfan Ali of the ruling People's Progressive Party was sworn in for a second term as the president on Sunday after his victory was ratified by the Electoral Commission. Ali vowed on Sunday that he would build a diversified economy that would create jobs, raise incomes and secure prosperity. Now in September 1 elections, the People's Progressive Party won 36 seats, 3 more than the previous one. The We Invest in Nationhood Party won 16 seats, a Partnership for National Unity got 12 and the Forward Guyana Movement secured 1. Ali's government that took office in 2020 has invested in the construction of roads, schools and hospitals and has made tuition at the State University free. Now, Chile held its 52nd annual march commemorating the victims of the 1973 military coup, drawing over 100 participants in the capital, Santiago. Organized by human rights groups and relatives of the disappeared, protesters were seen walking through the streets of the General Cemetery, carrying photographs, placards and banners honoring the victims of the dictatorship led by General Pinochet. Cultural performances and speeches called for truth and justice. Though some clashes were reported, the focus remained on remembering the 40,000 plus victims of torture, exile and disappearance. The coup's legacy still haunts Chile, with over 1,000 people still missing. Pinochet's rule ended in 1990s, but the demand for truth continues to echo through generations. Time for a quick and short break, but still to come on the other side. Australian woman gets 33 years sentence for globally followed mushroom murder case of in-laws. French Parliament set for a crucial vote following strong criticism of Prime Minister Barrot's strict budget cuts. And hundreds of women joins mass self-defense class in Mexico City to combat gender-based violence.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India Newshour. Well, the French Parliament is set for a crucial confidence vote on Monday following strong criticism of Prime Minister Francois Bayrou's strict budget cuts and spending plans. The result will decide whether his government survives or falls, with the outcome likely to affect jobs, public services and daily life across the country. DD India correspondent Rohini Kosavi reports.
France is heading into an important political moment, and it will affect not only leaders but common people as well. French Prime Minister has put forward a new budget with 44 billion euros cuts in spending. The government saying these cuts are needed because France's debt is too high and must be reduced. But for people, these cuts could make daily life more difficult. If the budget goes ahead, hospitals and schools may get less money, which could affect services. Some transport and building projects might be delayed. Families may receive less support with housing and social benefits. And workers fear there will be less help if they lost their jobs.
I think that's quite a mixed feeling because, we had the same kind of issues last year. So we are quite used to this kind of problems that doesn't get any solutions. But at the same time, it's kind of worrying because we don't know what's going to happen next week. And we feel like, history is repeating and we are not going to find solutions for this issue. So
the current budget in France is very uncertain. We don't know how it will get accepted because the current budget shows a lot of spending coming out from the public pocket. So it will be very, very costly to live in France.
This budget has created anger in the parliament and on the streets. Opposition parties are saying this budget is unfair. And even some members of the ruling side are also not happy with this. All of this has led to confidence vote, which will take place on 8th of September. If the Prime Minister wins the vote, he stays in power and budget will move forward. People will then start feeling the effects of these cuts in their everyday lives. And if he loses the votes, his government will have to resign and that will create political uncertainty. President Emmanuel Macron would then need to decide whether to bring a new prime minister, call a new elections, or try to form a new group of support in parliament.
So it will open a new era of uncertainty. So that's a mess, and sometimes it's once again time lost for true discussion and true action. So once again, it's frustrating, I guess, for French people. And yeah.
Public, both options have problems. If the budget is approved, then daily life may become tougher because of reduced support. If the government falls, France could face weeks or months of confusion without clear leadership. decision on September 8 will not only decide the Prime Minister's future, but also shape how people across France will live in the months ahead. Next few days are very important for France. Budget decisions could change life of many people. So everyone is watching closely and hoping the choices that makes life easier and secure. This is Rohini Goswami in Paris for DD India.
Norway is voting today on the final day of a parliamentary election dominated by concerns over rising living costs at home and turmoil in international politics. Veteran Labour Prime Minister Jonas Gahr has a slight lead in the opinion polls. A left-wing bloc of Labour and 4 smaller parties is seen winning 88 seats in the parliament, 3 more than the minimum needed to secure a majority and down from a combined 100 seats in 2021. On the right, the Populist Progress Party, the centre-right Conservatives and 2 smaller groups look set to win the remaining 81 seats. The first projected results are expected after the final polling station closes at 1900 GMT. NATO member Norway shares a border with Russia in the Arctic and its economy is highly dependent on exports, so geopolitical issues can hit very close to home. Australia's convicted mushroom killer Erin Peterson has been sentenced to life in prison with parole after 33 years by the Supreme Court of Victoria. Erin Peterson was found guilty in July of killing her father-in-law and mother-in-law along with sister-in-law with a meal containing poisonous mushrooms, a case that has been globally followed and dubbed by Leongatha mushroom murders. A jury also found the 50-year-old guilty of the attempted murder of another relative, Ian Wilkinson, who survived the 2023 meal at Peterson's home.
For the attempted murder of Ian Wilkinson, I sentence you to 25 years imprisonment. For the murder of Heather Wilkinson, I sentence you to life imprisonment. For the murder of Gail Patterson, I sentence you to life imprisonment. For the murder of Don Patterson, I sentence you to life imprisonment. All sentences are to be served concurrently. The total effective sentence is life imprisonment, and I fix a non-parole period of 33 years.
Ian Wilkinson, the sole survivor of a 2023 Australian mushroom poisoning, thanked the police and prosecutors after the court sentenced the assailant, Erin Peterson. Wilkinson also thanked medical teams that treated him and the other victims. Argentina's President Javier Milei faced a significant electoral defeat in Buenos Aires province on Sunday, which is a critical test ahead of October's midterms. With 86% of votes counted, the centre-left Fuerza Patria coalition secured 46% against Milei's La Libertad Avanza at 34%, defying polls predicting a closer race. Buenos Aires, contributing 30% of Argentina's GDP and 40% of voters, saw a 63% turnout. The loss amid a corruption scandal involving Milei's sister Karina raises concerns for his austerity-driven agenda. The Peronist victory signals a potential shift as Milei struggles to maintain momentum before the national elections. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban said that the upcoming general elections would offer Hungarians a choice between a party that put the country first or the one that would usher in chaos and poverty by linking the country more closely to the European Union and NATO. Speaking about the upcoming 2026 polls, Orban warned his right-wing party supporters that aligning with Brussels would lead to instability and economic decline in the country. PM Orban and his party have been in power since 2010 and still have a two-thirds majority in the parliament as in previous legislative periods, but now they face a serious challenge from Peter Magyar and his Tisza party.
It is clear that Hungary has only 2 options in strategic terms. We have to choose between them. Both are possible, both have their own outlines, they have a clear body, substance, and you can choose either one. The first is to join the Brussels policy, I think this would be catastrophic and would lead to chaos and poverty. We would simply hitch Hungary's car to the European train.
Taszító következményekkel járna.
Founded only last year, Magyar and his centre-right party are currently ahead in the polls. Magyar, a former government insider, pledged to revitalize Hungary's economy by freeing up billions in European Union funds frozen due to Orban's rule of law policies, cracking down on corruption, introducing a wealth tax and reducing taxes for lower income earners. Mexican authorities have detained 14 people suspected of being involved in the illicit trade of fuels so far. Mexico's Secretary of Security, Omar Garcia, said authorities seized a petroleum tanker in the port of Tampico together with nearly 63,000 barrels of diesel as well as containers and vehicles on the 19th of March. The tanker had arrived from the United States as per the LSEG tracking data. The authorities further mentioned the seized tanker was carrying diesel wrongly declared as a tax-exempt petrochemical. 14 suspects, including officials and businessmen, have been detained in the ongoing fuel smuggling investigation. At least 72 Colombian soldiers were detained in the guerrilla-controlled Cauca department on Sunday, a global hub for cocoa production, military officials reported. The incident occurred in the afternoon with no further details provided. Cauca, particularly the Canon del Miquel, is dominated by revolutionary armed forces of Colombia, dissidents like the Frente Carlos Patino, who controls lucrative coca fields. Now, such detentions are common in areas where armed groups hold sway. This event follows a March 2025 incident where 29 police and 1 soldier was detained in El Plateado, highlighting ongoing tensions in this conflict-ridden region. And now let's get you updates from West Asia. Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei bemoans his country's oil production levels and calls for the diversification of its export markets. Khamenei criticized Iran's low oil production, citing outdated methods and tools compared to other oil-rich regions. Khamenei also called for more dynamism on oil exports, stressing the need for multiple and diverse customers, with China still the dominant buyer of Iranian oil. Despite strained relations and disrupted nuclear talks, Iran signals openness to diplomacy, with Foreign Minister Arakchi calling for an honest conversation. The South Korean and Japanese defense ministers will hold talks in Seoul on Monday. This is the first official visit by a Japanese defense minister to South Korea in a decade. Japanese Defense Minister General Nakatani will meet South Korean counterpart An Go-pak on Monday afternoon. During his 2-day visit, Nakatani will also visit the Seoul National Cemetery and the Korean Navy Second Fleet. Last month, South Korean President Lee Jae-myung met with Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba in Tokyo, where they agreed on forming closer security and economic ties. Hong Kong was hit by severe tropical storm Tapa, prompting the closure of schools and many businesses. In response to severe storm Tapa, Hong Kong shut down schools and many businesses on Monday. The storm came within 170 kilometers of the city, bringing with it a gale force wind and heavy rain that affected much of the financial hub. As a precaution, several flights were cancelled. Most public transport services were also suspended. However, Hong Kong's mass transit railway system continued to operate at reduced frequency. The Hong Kong Observatory announced that the Typhoon 8 signal, the third highest warning, would remain effective until at least 11 a.m. local time. Businesses are allowed to reopen once the signal is lowered, but schools will remain closed all day. Time to take a short break, but still to come on the other side. 13th FTA negotiations between India and European Union likely to begin today, talks crucial in determining the next steps. Total lunar eclipse enthralls sky watchers. Blood moon witnessed in Delhi, Mumbai and Bengaluru as well. An Indian Navy band participates in 50th Independence Day celebrations of Papua New Guinea.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Time to quickly recap top headlines of the hour. US President Donald Trump issues last warning to Hamas to accept hostage deal or face consequences. Hamas says discussing ideas received from the US. Trump indicates readiness to impose new sanctions on Moscow hours after Russian drones hit Kyiv. European leaders to visit US to discuss Russia-Ukraine conflict. Detained workers to fly back after South Korea reaches deal with US to release citizens. White House orders vows more raids on businesses. In sports, Indian men's hockey team beats defending champion South Korea to win Asia Cup title. India earns direct qualification for Hockey World Cup 2026. And in tennis, another chapter added in the greatest rivalry of modern tennis as Carlos Alcaraz beat arch rival Jannik Sinner to claim his second US Open title. And now let's get you a breaking news that we are getting at this current hour coming in from Jammu and Kashmir. Security forces have gunned down a terrorist in an encounter in Doordar forest of the Kulgam district. Now, based on specific intelligence, the joint search operation under Operation Doordar is being carried out by the Indian Army, Jammu and Kashmir Police and Central Reserve Police Forces. Vigilant troops observed a suspicious activity and upon being challenged, terrorists opened the fire, prompting a fierce exchange of gunfire. A junior commissioned officer suffered injuries in the encounter. This is the latest we are getting for you from Jammu and Kashmir about the encounter that is currently underway. And to get you more on this, I'm joined by DD India correspondent Shabir Dar from Srinagar. Good morning, Shabir. Tell us more about the current operation which is currently ongoing in Doordar.
Yeah, good morning, Deepika. This is, the operation started in the wee hours today when security forces had specific information about the presence of terrorists in the Doordar forest area in Kulgam district. Remember, Doordar is the area which falls near the Akhal encounter because last month and recent past, we had the longest encounter in the same area in Akhal Forest, and the Akhal Forest are closer. So the terrorists were hiding in this forest area, and based on specific information, as I said, the encounter started early morning after troops zeroed in the area and terrorists fired on the security forces, which resulted in a fierce encounter and a good and initial success for the security forces by eliminating one terrorist. The entire area has been cordoned and the civilian population near the forest has been evacuated and they have shifted to the safer places. And security forces have launched the massive operation in this forest area because it is believed that there are a few more terrorists trapped in this encounter. As we speak, the fire exchange is going on from both sides, and the security forces, including Indian Army, Jammu and Kashmir Police, CRPF, are using the modern gadgetry and additional enforcement has been proceeding to ensure that the hold-up terrorists don't get any chance to flee from the area because, again, Doordar is a forest area and these people are, hiding in the deep foliage and the encounter in forest area is always a challenge for the security forces because one, the forests are have a deep foliage and it is a hilly area. So the topography is a challenge, and it is raining in the area right now. So weather and topography is posing a challenge. But despite all this, the security forces managed to eliminate the one terrorist in the initial exchange, and as you speak, the operation is going on. It is yet to be ascertained from which organization these terrorists belong. The forces will definitely share the details once the operation proceeds.
A very important point that you've also shared, that civilians are also being taken care of and the area have been cordoned off. But in the entire process, one officer has also been injured. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, one junior commission officer was injured in the initial exchange. He has been evacuated from the area to the hospital, while we believe that he is stable and under treatment. So there is no further information about the injury of any other security force personnel. But yes, this injury occurred in the initial exchange when security forces were just retaliating the exchange of fire from the terrorists, and in that process, one junior officer got injured, and he has been evacuated to the hospital.
And also, we are also getting the report that the operation is being carried out based on information on specific intelligence. Are we getting more information about this? Because you just mentioned that as we speak, the firing is currently undergoing.
Yeah, we have seen the trend since April when that Pahalgam incident happened, and after that, the security forces have launched a massive manhunt against terrorists, and the intelligence network intelligence operators has been strengthened, be it the human the digital and other technical intelligence that has been strengthened and reinforced in the entire Jammu and Kashmir, and these operations are happening because of these intelligence successes. Because the terrorists try to hide in the forests, in the caves, and other places, but the intelligence network is so robust that the security forces get the tip off and they launch the operation. And Operation Gudar, today's operation, is the part of that intelligence success, because the security forces had a tip off, had an intelligence-based tip off that the terrorists are hiding in the forest area. And based on that intelligence input, the search was carried on in the morning, and the terrorists tried to flee. They fired on the security forces, and in that exchange, as we said, one junior commission officer got injured, but there was a big success for the security forces, as one terrorist was eliminated in the initial exchange. And the encounter is going on. This fighting is going on both sides, and we hope that the encounter will conclude soon, and there will be more success for the security forces.
Indeed, we are hoping for a successful Gudar encounter, which is currently Gudar operation, which is currently undertaking in Jammu and Kashmir, where one terrorist have been eliminated so far. But as we speak, the operation is currently ongoing. Thank you so much, Shabir, for joining us and bringing us the latest straight from Jammu and Kashmir. Moving on. The 13th round of free trade agreement negotiations between India and the European Union are likely to begin on Monday. The outcome of this round of negotiations will be crucial in determining the next steps. Following the negotiating round, European Commission's Agriculture Commissioner Christoph Hansen and Trade Chief Maros Sefcovic are also likely to be in India later this week to hold talks with Indian counterpart and Minister Piyush Goyal. The concerning issues between India and European Union are related to differences in areas of rules of origin, market access, and duties on wine and dairy products. The next round has been slated for early next month in Brussels. If resolved, both the sides look to seal the FTA by end of this year. The European Union is India's biggest trading partner, with bilateral trade in goods recording $135 billion in the financial year 2023-24. Also visiting Delhi is Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich, who will be leading an economic delegation to India to seal cooperation agreements that are expected to deepen economic relations and boost mutual investments between the two countries. Today, the visiting minister will meet Indian counterpart Nirmala Sitharaman in New Delhi. During his 3-day visit, Smotrich is also expected to meet with senior government officials alongside business representatives and representatives of the Jewish community in the country. Now, a manipulated video is circulating online, falsely portraying the Indian Chief of Army Staff General Upendra Dwivedi as making statements about India losing fighter jets and soldiers during Operation Sindoor. In a fact-check undertaken by the Press Information Bureau, it has been found that the Indian Chief of Army Staff has not made any such statement. It further added that fake AI videos are being spread to mislead and cause panic. PIB further urged the citizens to report any such content on mobile number +91 8799711259 or write to factcheck@pib.gov.in. Moving on. When India's daughters take to the seas, they do more than sailing. They shatter glass ceilings. In a historic first, 10 women officers from the Indian Army, Navy and Air Force will embark on a tri-service circumnavigation mission on board Indian Army sailing vessel or IASV Triveni on Monday, which is the 11th of September. Covering 26,000 plus nautical miles, crossing the equator twice and rounding the 3 Great Capes, the team will brave the world's toughest oceans, including the Southern Ocean and Drake Passage. Now, this all-women expedition is not just about sailing. It is a milestone in India's maritime journey, showcasing Nari Shakti or women power in uniform, tri-service unity and the spirit of adventure. The Indian Navy Band participated in the military tattoo as part of 50th Independence Day celebrations of Papua New Guinea. In a post on X, the Indian Navy spokesperson highlighted that the Indian Navy Band presented a repertoire of martial tunes and Indian melodies, earning the wide appreciation from the audience and the dignitaries. Along with the Indian Navy Band's participation in the military tattoo, there were several other nations that also came together, symbolizing unity, discipline and shared heritage through the universal language of music. The goodwill visit symbolizes India's commitment to strengthening its engagement with Pacific Island nations under Act East policy and promoting peace, stability and inclusive growth in the Indo-Pacific region. Moving on. Celestial enthusiasts across the world witnessed a rare total eclipse or the blood moon on the 7th of September. The Earth's shadow started covering the lunar disk at 9:57 p.m. according to Indian Standard Time. By 11:01 p.m. IST, the Earth's shadow completely covered the moon at 11:01 p.m. IST, turning it coppery red, putting up the stunning display. This lunar eclipse, which is the second one for this year and longest since 2022, was visible across India, including in major cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Bengaluru, Hyderabad and others, which are the metro cities. Apart from India, the eclipse was also visible in Australia, the Far East, the Middle East, Europe and some parts of Africa. Stargazers witnessed the shadow of Earth gracefully gliding across the moon, transforming it into a glowing coppery red disk.
And the last lunar eclipse, and this is special because this is total lunar eclipse, and after so long that India and Delhi probably have waited to see the spectacular events, when sunlight falls on the moon and Earth comes in between and obstruct that part. So in this situation we see the total lunar eclipse. So lunar eclipses in comparison to the solar eclipses are safe to watch. So anyone without any hassles, without any special gadgets and all, lunar eclipse is a naked eye event you can see by your eyes.
Very excited, and today with my family, we are witnessing it for the first time here. So I believe that, these eclipses are just to cleanse yourself. The moon energy will cleanse, detoxification of your body. So it is very, very natural phenomena.
This was one of the most interesting experiences I have ever seen. Extremely immersing and more interesting than any article could ever be. I am glad to have watched this amazing phenomena.
Lunar eclipses occurs when sun, moon and earth comes in a straight line, and sun and moon are two sides apart, and the shadow of Earth falls on the moon. So this happens only during a full moon day.
Following the lunar eclipse on Sunday, thousands of devotees gathered at the banks of the Ganges at different places to take a ritual bath to cleanse themselves of the negative energies believed to accumulate during the celestial event. The holy dip performed at Brahma Muhurat or early morning is considered highly auspicious. Participants expressed reverence for the river, emphasizing the importance of keeping the Ganges clean and respecting its sacredness. We're heading for a short break, but still to come on the other side. International Literacy Day 2025 focuses on digital age learning. India's Ullas program leads the way. And dogs make waves in California's surfing competition. Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Now it's time to get you all the latest action from the world of sports. To begin with hockey first. Indian men's hockey team have done it yet again. A commanding 4-1 victory over South Korea in the finals at Rajgir not only brought home the Asia Cup title, but also sealed a direct entry into next year's FIH Hockey World Cup. Well, this is India's 4th continental crown, making them the 2nd most successful side in the competition's history. Here's more.
It was the perfect start for the hosts in the final. In the very first minute, Sukhjit Singh stunned the defending champions with a blistering strike to put India ahead. The moment only grew as Dilpreet Singh doubled the lead before half-time. India's dominance was evident after the break as Dilpreet added a second, his brace taking the contest away from Korea. Amit Rohidas capped off the scoring in the 50th minute, leaving the visitors with no way back. Korea pulled one back through Dayan Sun in the very next minute, but it provided only consolation. The victory was built on consistency. Harmanpreet Singh and company remained unbeaten throughout the tournament, winning all 3 group matches and finishing the Super Fours stage with 2 wins and a draw. Their 7-0 thrashing of China in the final Super Fours clash was a warning of what was to come in the title match. This triumph marks India's 4th Asia Cup crown after earlier wins in 2003, 2007 and 2017. With 4 titles, they now sit just behind 5-time winners South Korea on the all-time charts. For Indian hockey, it's not just about lifting silverware but also about momentum, carrying confidence into next year's World Cup in Belgium and the Netherlands. India's unbeaten run in Rajgir has not just delivered silverware but also reaffirmed their credentials as a team capable of competing with the best in the world. Sports Desk, DD India.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated the Indian men's hockey team on their triumphant victory over South Korea in the finals of the Asia Cup. He wrote on X, and I quote him here, "Congratulations to our men's hockey team for their splendid victory in the Asia Cup 2025 held in Rajgir, Bihar. This win is even more special because they have defeated the defending champions, South Korea. This is a proud moment for Indian hockey and Indian sports. May our players continue to scale even greater heights and bring more glory to the nation." Unquote. Well, India has secured a direct qualification for the FIH Men's Hockey World Cup 2026 scheduled to take place in Belgium and the Netherlands with this. In an exclusive conversation with DD India correspondent, the Indian hockey player Rajinder Singh shared insights on the team's focus as they gear up for next year's World Cup and Asian Games as well, and how the Asia Cup proved a pivotal step-up stone in preparing them for upcoming international tournaments. Take a listen.
Right now we have with us Indian hockey player Rajinder. Rajinder, lots of congratulations for this victory. And how do you see and how do you rate this victory against Korea?
So I think it was a really great victory for us. As we decided in our team meetings and all that we have to win this match and this tournament at any cost, because we want to qualify for World Cup by this tournament. So we just stay on our words and we just stick to our plan that we just planned into our meetings.
In this match, there was totally you people were totally dominating Koreans.
We stayed disciplined to our structure and how we stayed disciplined to our game plan. Whatever happens, if we'll be conceding or we scored early, and I think if we would have conceded the goal early, that doesn't matter, because we just want to stay into our structure and play according to the game plan, into discipline.
Now, Indian team have qualified for the next year World Cup. How do you see that challenge?
We see it really positively, because we really want to finish our World Cup on a podium, and we really want to win the medal in World Cup, as the last medal in the World Cup was 48 years ago something. So now we again want to win the World Cup, and we just want to finish our games of World Cup on the podium.
How much this type of tournaments help you to maintain your performance when you go for World Cup?
These games are really important for that, because from these games we really boost our confidence, and it really creates a really strong bonding between our team. So I think that was really important for us.
This is Rajinder, who's saying that their next goal will be going to be a Hockey World Cup and as well as Asian Games. With cameraman Saurabh Bakshi, this is Gaurav Kumar reporting from Rajgir, Bihar, DD India.
Behind every successful team is a strong support system that keeps them fit and ready for big stage events. In an exclusive conversation with DD India correspondent Gaurav Kumar, Indian hockey team's physiotherapist Ranganathan Murugesan shared insights on the challenges of keeping players injury-free and match-ready for important tournaments such as the Asia Cup.
Right now we have with us Indian hockey team physiotherapist Ranganathan with us. Ranganathan, lots of congratulations for the team victory. And how much it was difficult for you to maintain players' quality and fitness?
It was a little bit challenge, because we were training earlier in Bangalore. So Bangalore, the climate is very good, and then we went for training camp at Australia. Then when we came back here, the temperature was a little high, so it was a little difficult for us to cope up initially. But since we are all Indians, so we acclimatized very well, and then a lot of hydration and recovery things. So every day we should follow a protocol of recovery programs. So that helped us.
Because of this, see, their back-to-back matches, and then challenges become more difficult for you to maintain players' fitness.
They are all highly skilled and very strong individuals. Since we are doing a lot of strength and conditioning, and we go on a particular program each tournament, when to peak and when to deload everything. So that helped us to maintain the fitness of our boys. So that showed here. So that's helped us to maintain the fitness throughout the tournament without any much of injuries.
Nowadays it is more talking about the sports science. So how do you apply this sports science between the boys?
Yeah, so we have a scientific advisor. So as a physio, we and the scientific advisor discuss so many things: when to load, when to peak, and what are the exercises in case of any injury and injury prevention. So we mainly work on injury prevention rather than waiting for the injury to happen. So a lot of exercises based on that. So it helps us to maintain it. So sports science, yes, it is the backbone of a physiotherapist.
This is Ranganathan, who is saying that he has done each and everything to maintain Indian team fitness to up to the mark. With cameraman Saurabh Bakshi, this is Gaurav Kumar reporting from Rajgir, Bihar, DD India.
And in tennis, Spaniard Carlos Alcaraz clinched his second US Open title, beating arch rival Jannik Sinner in the finals on Sunday. Carlos Alcaraz ended the reign of Jannik Sinner with a 6-2, 3-6, 6-1, 6-4 victory and took his revenge for Wimbledon final loss earlier this year. In a perfect echo of the triumph that first propelled him to the #1 spot in 2022, Alcaraz's second New York title lifted him back to the top of the world rankings. A dejected Sinner was left to contemplate another Grand Slam final loss to Alcaraz this season after coming up short in their French Open epic in June. Moving on. Well, today is International Literacy Day. The theme for this year is promoting literacy in the digital age. Celebrated every year on the 8th of September, International Literacy Day highlights literacy's role in human development. India's 2022 Ullas program advances universal literacy by empowering adults through inclusive digital age education. The Ullas program has sparked a nationwide movement for literacy and is playing a critical role in helping India achieve universal literacy by the year 2030 in line with global education goals. Well, surfing went to the dogs in Del Mar, California, with canines hitting the waves to raise funds for a local animal shelter. Over 50 dogs made a splash at the 20th annual Surf Dog Surfathon. It was all for a good cause, with pet parents and their pooches banding together to raise money. And that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Deepika, and from all of us here in New Delhi, thank you so much for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.